happy to meet you all again in class 11 economics. We are in chapter 3, which is organization of data. So far we have discussed two chapters in statistics for economics, which is introduction of what is economics, what is statistics, how statistics is related with economics, what is the need of using statistical tools in economics is discussed in chapter 1, the introduction chapter. In chapter 2 we have discussed about the first step in data, about the statistics, that is called collection of data. We have discussed various things about collection of data. In chapter 3 we are continuing about organization of data. Once the data is collected, you need to organize it and present it in the right way so that it is useful for the next process, for the analyzing and further implementation of the statistical tools for that particular data. If it is directly collected, then it is called as raw data, and it is very difficult to draw information, to get information out of raw data. We saw various examples about raw data like marks, marks, income, everything. If it is presented as it is collected, it is very difficult for us to understand what it is. Clear, children? So what did we do? We spoke about classification of data. On what basis do we classify? We have 4 different ways of classification of data: chronological classification, spatial classification, quantitative classification, and qualitative classification. What do we mean by chronological classification? Based on a time series, if we are classifying the raw data, then it is called as a chronological classification. The next step is spatial classification. That is based on the geographical area, based on the places. If you classify the raw data, then it is called as spatial classification. The third kind is qualitative classification. Qualitative is like when you talk about the quality, based on quality when you classify the data, then it is qualitative data. Like it's like yes or no only, mostly male or female. Educated or uneducated. What is the educational qualification? So based on this qualities, when you organize the data, when you classify the data based on that, then it is called as qualitative classification. Talking about quantitative classification, like marks, weight, age, all these things are called as quantitative classification based on numbers. Right. Then we have discussed about variables. Variables means what? The values of variables which are varies. Whichever varies are called as variables. Usually we describe it with x or y. Variable x or variable y. This we have discussed. And then in variables we have discussed about continuous variables and discrete variables. What do we mean by continuous variable? Continuous variable means it can have even a fractional number or a decimal number. It can have integers. Any numerical value can be in continuous variables. Whereas discrete variable, you have a proper set of jump. It's called as jump. That is, the difference will be given there. One means it will be a whole number. It will not be, there won't be any decimal values, integers will be there. Fine. Even though we use fractional numbers as discrete variables, there will be a proper jump. The values in between those two numbers cannot be included in variables. Those are called as discrete variables. Now the next thing that we are going to understand about the organization of data is something that is called as frequency of distribution. What do we mean by frequency distribution? So earlier we were discussing about the marks that you have scored, right? Based on that, I have just put it in order. There was no order. It was a raw data of each one how much you have scored. In your book even they have given the example of students scoring max marks. Right. Later on how it was classified based on the quantitative classification. What did we do? We had a class like 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. Like that we had a grouping. Right. And then we have counted how many members have scored each. 0 to 10 means 4 students have scored. That means that is the frequency given there is 4. Okay. So how many members variables, how many values are there in that particular class is called as a frequency. Fine. So what are we going to discuss in this class? We are going to discuss various things about what do we mean by frequency distribution. Alright, what are we going to discuss? We are going to discuss about frequency distribution. A frequency distribution is a comprehensible way to classify raw data of a quantitative variable. It concerns mostly with quantitative variables. So which chapter are we dealing with? We are dealing with chapter number 3, which is organization of data. Organization of data. In organization of data, today we are going to discuss about frequency distribution. Okay, what is frequency distribution? It is a comprehensible way. Comprehensible means understandable. You are making the raw data into a comprehensible data and understandable data. Comprehensible way of or way to classify raw data and of what? It talks mainly about quantitative variable. Okay? Quantitative variable. Talking about height, we say. So, for example, in a particular class, we are going to measure the height of students. So, what we say, like 110 centimeter to 120 centimeter, 120 to 130, 130 to 140, 140 to 150, 150 to 160. These are the height. For a quantitative variable, we are taking the example. Then what do? We take the next column. This is called, this is frequency. In frequency, what do? We just measure how many students fall under each category. 110 to 120, there are 3 students. 120 to 130, there are 4 students. Here there are 5. Here there are 2. Here there is only 1. So when you add this frequency, you should get the total number, your population, your universe you should get. We saw, right, what is meant by population or universe? We saw the number of identities or number of group, number of items that you take for consideration. So in a class of 20 members, these may only come, means you have to still study. So when you total it off, 3 plus 4, 7, 7 plus 5, 12, 14. So the strength of the class is 50, means in your data that you have collected, you have grouped it in a right way. So what is basically a frequency distribution? It is a comprehensible way, okay, to classify raw data. For example, you have raw data of 112 centimeter, 117 centimeter and 120 centimeter. These 3 only have taken as their frequency distribution. Fine. So 3 values are there. Next you have, actually this is the raw data. From the raw data you have created that frequency distribution. For what? Because you cannot analyze anything from raw data. We have already discussed that it is a very tedious way to pull out information from raw data. That is why we need to classify, and it implies importantly for which kind of variable? Quantitative variables like what? Height, weight, marks, all those things. Fine. It is a comprehensible way, easy to understand, to classify raw data. Now what are the important terms that we talk about here? What are the important terms that we should know related to this particular kind, frequency distribution? What are the important things? First thing is called as the class frequency. The number of values values in a particular class is called as class frequency. That is what is 3. Okay. So first thing, what is a class frequency? The number of values in what? In a particular class. So this here is called class. In each class, how many values are there? That is called as the class frequency. We write it as frequency, but what is it called as? Class frequency. What is the class frequency? The number of values in each class is called as class frequency. Right, children? What is the next term that we are going to talk about? We are going to talk about the upper class limit and lower class limit. So in each, if you see, there is a bigger value, there is a smaller value. Right? So the highest value of each class is called the upper class limit. Right? The highest values are there, right? In each class you have the highest value. 150 to 160. Out of this two, which is the highest? 160 is the highest. So you call it the upper class limit. What is the lower class limit? The lowest values are there, right? The least values are there, right? Those are called as the lower class limit. Fine, children. So what are the points that we have discussed? We have discussed what is meant by class frequency. First thing, we discussed what is frequency distribution. Then we discussed about the class frequency. Then we have come across two more terms which are called as upper class limit and lower class limit. What is the next thing that we are going to find? We are going to find the class interval or class width. What is the next term that we are going to study about? We are going to study about the class interval or class width. How do you find it? The difference between the upper class limit and the lower class limit is called the class width. Okay? The class interval is the difference between the upper class limit minus the lower class limit. That is 160. Okay. 160 minus 150. 10 is the class width. So mostly it will be the same. Here also 150 minus 140, 10. 140 minus 130, 10. So what are the terms that we have discussed? We have discussed about frequency distribution. Then we have discussed about class frequency, upper class limit, lower class limit. Then we spoke about class interval or class width. Fine. These are the important things that we should know about a frequency distribution. There is one more important point to discuss about frequency distribution, that is class midpoint or class mark. What is that? It is the middle value of a class. 140 to 150 is there, right? You need to find the middle value of it. Remember it somewhere? Median. You have studied about median, right? The middle value. So how do you calculate there? Even you will be adding it and dividing it by 2. So here what are you going to do? The class midpoint or the class mark is equal to upper class mark, okay, plus lower class mark or class limit divided by 2. Okay, how do you calculate it? What are we calculating now? The class midpoint, the class midpoint or class mark. Okay, how do you find it? The upper class limit plus lower class limit divided by 2. So how will you find there for a particular class? For each class you need to find. So for this class what will you find? 160 is the upper class limit plus lower class limit is 150 divided by 2. So what is the addition of it? 150 plus 160 is equal to 310 by 2. Okay, when you divide it, what will you get? 150.5 is your what? For this particular class, for each class it will differ, children. For this particular class, we have taken into account only this particular class. For example, you have found the class midpoint or the class mark. It is the middle value. Or what? Or how do you find it? By adding the upper class limit and lower class limit and dividing it by 2, you will use it. For what you are finding this, the class mark or mid value of each class is used to represent the class. Once raw data are grouped into classes, individual observations are not used in further classification, right? We discussed about this 120, 125, right? We have discussed this. This individual data is there, right? After this, you will not use the raw data. Once you have classified it, the raw data will not be put into further use. So in this table, what are the other things you can add? So first you have given class, then you give frequency, you can add upper class limit, lower class limit, then the class mark. For each one you will be finding the class mark. Fine children, even in your example they have given only that particular thing with marks. We have gone with heights. Okay, but it's the same. Now with this tabular column, we are going to represent it. How? We are going to represent it using a graphical representation which is called as the frequency curve. What do you call it? Frequency curve. And what is a frequency curve? It is a graphical representation of the frequency distribution. This table is called as the frequency distribution, and when you present it in a graphical format, then it is called as a frequency curve. And which will you take it in account? You will be taking the frequency mark, that is the class mark that you have found, right? With that only you will use the frequency curve. Okay, so for each class you have to find the class mark and you have to mark that particular thing in the frequency curve. So what is marked as x-axis? X-axis is marked as the class marks and y-axis is on the frequency. This frequency is marked on the y-axis and x-axis is the class mark that you find. Based on that, they have given you a diagrammatic representation of the frequency distribution that is given in your book of the marks. Fine. So you can do like this also. You can just take it down in your notebook. You can try organizing it. Okay, or organizing what? What are the other things pending, children? You have to do the other things like you have to find the lower class limit, upper class limit, and you have to find the class marks. Then you can just draw a diagrammatic representation. It is very simple, that is why I am not drawing it on the board. It is very simple, direct representation. X-axis is what? The class mark, and y-axis is the frequency. Based on that, they have given you a diagrammatic graphical representation. Fine children. Now what is the next thing that we are going to discuss? We are going to discuss how do you prepare a frequency distribution. It was all easy for me to just draw it, but how do I do it? What are the important things that I need to remember or I need to think while I do it? Just like questionnaires. We discussed about questionnaires and how I have to frame a questionnaire. What are the important things? How a poor question should be, how a good question should be, like everything we have discussed. Same way, you need to know how a proper frequency distribution table is given. So for that, for doing it correctly, you need to find the answers for the following questions which we are going to discuss now. So according to frequency distribution, what are the various things we have discussed, children? What is meant by frequency distribution and what are the related terms? We have discussed about class, okay? Then we have discussed what is a frequency. What is frequency? The number of values in a particular class. Then we have discussed what is meant by upper class limit relatedly. So what is the topic that we are discussing? How to prepare a frequency distribution. One more thing, you can try this. So you have already discussed how we have to collect data through surveys we said. So you can prepare a small survey. It can be technologically used like with the help of Google Forms, or you can do it by yourself. Prepare a simple questionnaire and ask it to your family members, to whomever you can reach. You can even conduct telephonic interviews, or you can have a personal interview. Mailed interview might not be possible. If you are able to do that also, you can find it out. Okay, try all the three methods. Let it be very simple one. Reach out only to your family and your friends and try and just practically analyze how it works. How a telephonic interview works, how a mailed interview works, how a personal interview works, whether these advantages and disadvantages that is given in your book, those points that we have discussed are practically true or not. Try it at a simple level, a very simple survey. Like talking about their likes and dislikes. Do they like to eat ice cream during the summer season or winter season? Something like that. You can go with open-ended, close-ended. I would suggest go with MCQs for the first time. Go with close-ended questions so that it will be easy for you to collect data. Once you have collected the data, you will get a raw data, right? With that, we will go on further with frequency distribution and everything. Try to do with quantitative variable first of all. Try taking marks or taking the weight of the people, weight of your family members, your friends, or height of your family members. Like that you can take such data. Right children? Fine. We'll go on to the next thing. How do we prepare it? First thing that we need to know is, should we have equal or unequal sized class intervals? So what is the first thing? Equal or unequal sized class intervals. Fine, that is the first question that should be answered. Now talking about class intervals, do you remember 150 to 160 is a class interval. So it should be equal or unequal. There are two situations in which unequal sized intervals are used. What are the two situations where we use unequal sized class intervals? One, when you have data on income and other similar variables where the range is very high. There are people who get 100 rupees per day, there are people who earn 1000 rupees per day, there are people who earn 10,000 rupees per day. The range, the difference. Range is nothing but the difference, children, between the upper class and the lower class marks. So when you find the difference, it's called the range. And when the range is very high, it's very difficult for you to have equal size. Because imagine, one employee gets 100 rupees in the same organization per day we will take. Another person gets 500. Another person gets 1000. Another person gets 10,000. Another person gets 1 lakh. How will you group it? How many classes will you have? 0 to 500, 0 to 1000, 1000 to 10,000. So when the range is high, it's very difficult for us to go with equal class intervals because there might be many people who are earning from 100 to 500. So taking the raw data, no, it's very difficult because using the raw data, you can go for the next step of making a frequency distribution. If it is secondary data, fine. It's already grouped and it's given. No, it is a first-hand data, it is a raw data. How will you group it? There are so many employees and the items are more. How will you study it? Okay, in such cases, we go for unequal class intervals. So the example is income only given from 0 to many hundred crores or crores of rupees. How will you group it? How will you classify it is the question there. Then equal class intervals are not suitable because if the class intervals are of moderate size and equal, there would be a large number of classes. These classes will keep on going. It has no end. It has to keep on going and going and going, means it's difficult for you to draw a frequency distribution. If class intervals are large, we would tend to suppress information on either very small levels or very high levels of income. So what do you do? 100 to 500 means there will be many people. The frequency will be more. In that case, it's difficult for us to, have it in a proper way. We just compress it and have it. We will not have an original format of data. Fine. And what is the second thing? If a large number of values are concentrated in a small part of the range, in one small part of range, equal class intervals will lead to lack of information on many values. Like 100 to 525 members are there, means which is more? 120 is more, or 200 is more, or 300 is more. It's difficult for you to find. Right? In such cases only we cannot go for equal class intervals. So what you have to do? You have to think whether it should be equal class intervals or unequal sized intervals. So out of these two situations, we have to go for unequal sized intervals, like where the range is too high or there are too many values for a particular class. For these two situations, we have to go for unequal sized class interval. For all other cases, you will go with equal sized intervals. Right. What is the next thing that we need to decide about this particular frequency distribution? Okay. This is the first question. That is whether you should go for unequal or equal size class intervals. In that we have discussed. Unequal means where when the range is too high, when you have to have too many classes, when you cannot find like the impressive of each value, then you have to go for unequal kind. Other than these two situations, you always can go for equal sized class intervals. Right. Next, how many classes should we have? What is the second question that we have to do? Number of classes that we should have. How do you decide? Is usually between 6 and 15. The number of classes is usually between 6 and 15. That many classes only you will have. Maximum is 15, minimum is 6. But still, there are some other cases also where, in case we are using equal sized class intervals, the number of classes can be calculated by dividing the range. We discussed about range. What is range? The difference between the largest and the smallest values of variable. Now in the previous example we studied 160 was here, another one is 130. So the difference is there. Now 160 minus 130 is what? 160 minus 130 is 30. Whereas what was the first thing we had? If I am not wrong, 110 we had, the lowest limit. And the highest was 160. So 110 minus 160 is 50. So if you are going to have 10 means you will have 5. Simple. See, 120 to 120. 120 to 130. 130 to 140. 140 to 150. 150 to 160. This was the example I gave you, right? How do you calculate it? The highest value is 160 minus the lowest value is 110. The difference is 50. This is your range. And you are going to have a class width of 10. Okay, what is the difference? Upper class limit minus lower class limit. If you are going to have a class width of 10, then 50 by 10 will become 5. So how many classes do you have? 5. No, my class width is going to be only 5. I don't want 110 to 120. Instead I want 110 to 115 I want to have. How will you calculate? Simple. Divided by 5. Then you will have 10 classes. What is a range? It's the difference between the highest value and the lowest value. That is range. Based on the range, you will decide how many classes you would like to have for your frequency distribution. Usually it is 6, between 6 and 15. What I have given even is less. So usually it is between 6 and 15, and in equal class intervals we can calculate the help of range. What is range? Range is the difference between the highest and the smallest, largest and the smallest value of a variable. Right children, from the top you should calculate. It's not only in the class. Don't confuse upper class and the class width and range children. Class width is that particular class. 140 to 150 means only that particular class. There only we call it class width. Upper class limit minus lower class limit for that particular class. But when you talk about the range, you have to take the entire data into calculation. All the values of variables into the calculation. So the difference between the largest value of variable and the smallest value is called the range. Based on the range only, you will decide the number of classes you want to have for your frequency distribution. Clear? In the max mark example, if you see, the highest mark given is 100. That is the highest value. What is the lowest value you have to see? If it is 10, for my eyes is coming as 0 also. So 100 minus 10. Sorry, 100 minus 0 is 100. 100 divided by what? 10. So that many are given here. How many classes are given here? If you count, you will get 10 classes. How did they calculate it? The highest value is 100 minus the lowest value is 0. 100 minus 0 is equal to 100. 100 divided by, if you want to have 10, then you find 10 classes. That is how they have prepared the frequency distribution. So as you go on with each question, you have to go back to the same examples and see how from raw data a frequency distribution is drawn. What is the next thing? What is the size of each class? What is the size you are going to have for each class? To answer this question, you have the range, the previous question, that is number of classes and the size of class is interrelated. What did we do? 50 by we have decided 10 I want to have a size, so we have decided that as the number of classes. So these two questions are interrelated, we say. In number of classes we find the range. So once we find the range, we can determine the number of classes that we like to have. So size of class and number of classes are interrelated. They have to have the basis of range. Based on the range only we will go for the number of classes and the size of each class. Fine children, what is the next thing that we are going to discuss? We are going to discuss about how should we determine the class limits. Determination of children, they have given us questions for you in your book. I am putting it as statements. Okay, it's already given as questions, so I want to make it as statements so that you can understand in both the formats. Determination of class limits. What do we call as class limits? When we say 140 to 150 as a class limit, okay, how do you decide that it is 140 and 150? Number of classes you have to determine, size of class you have to determine. But okay, my number of classes is 6. Okay, my size of class is 10. Why should I take from, why should I fix it? My point is only 10, no. I can have 125 to 145 also. Why am I having this? How will I determine this particular limit is my question next. Do you understand children? All three are different. Fine. This is the number of classes based on the range you have decided. Next, size of the class. That also based on range you have decided. Next, what are we talking about? The limit, determination of class limit. It can, my thing is 10 only. Class width should be 10. 135 to 145 is also 10. 140 to 150 is also 10. 132 to 142 is also 10. Right, so how do I determine this number? This data, how do I determine is what we are going to discuss next. Alright children, what are the various things here? Class limits should be definite and clearly should be definite and clearly stated. When we say that below 40, above 70, when we say like that, there is no particularity there. Above 70 means 71 is also above 70, 100 is also above 70, 1000 is also above 70. So there is no definite thing, it is indefinite. So classes like that should not be taken up. We should have proper class intervals, and class intervals are of two types. Okay, one is called as the inclusive class interval and another one is called the exclusive class intervals. Inclusive class intervals and exclusive class intervals. Fine. What are these inclusive class intervals? Means in this cases values equal to the lower and upper class limits are included in the frequency of that same class. That is, when you say 140 to 150 as a class, then the value 140 is also included in the frequency, 150 is also included in the frequency. Whereas in exclusive class interval, that 140 is also excluded, 150 is also excluded. Okay? Or in some cases 140 is, that is the lower limit is accepted, the upper limit is not accepted. Some cases upper limit is accepted, lower limit is not accepted. So how do you understand it? Inclusive means it includes both the upper class and the lower class. When you talk about exclusive class intervals, it includes only one thing, either the upper class limit or the lower class limit. So they have given you an example. In the case of discrete variables, what do we mean by discrete variables? With the jumps, both exclusive and inclusive class intervals can be used. It's our wish. Okay? In case of continuous variables, inclusive class intervals are used. Okay? So when you take these discrete jumping kind of numbers or the data, both can be used. Whereas when we talk about continuous variables, mostly we take only the inclusive class intervals. So there is a simple example given, like the marks. The same example is continued everywhere for our better understanding. Okay, so in the inclusive form of class intervals, what they have done, 0 to 10, like same thing only they have given. See, in inclusive form, 0 to 10, after 0 to 10, 11 to 20, it has gone. Then 21 to 30, it has gone. So that both are accepted. Whereas in our example, 140 to 150, 150 to 160 means, where will you add that number? Where will you add 150? Because whatever is upper class limit here comes as a lower class limit in the next class. So that is what you have to understand. In the case of exclusive class intervals, we have to decide in advance in which class you are going to choose. In this class you are going to choose or in that class you are going to choose. That's why we say either one. In exclusive, what you have to do? Either one. Whether you are going to accept upper class limit or lower class limit. So if I am taking into account the upper class limit, the 150 will be added here. If I am taking the lower class limit, the 150 will be added here. That is what is given. What is the next example given? The next example is given as example of continuous variable. In case of continuous variable, so you have like even decimals will be there. What is the thing about continuous variable? Decimals, fractions, integers also can be there. So they have given you an example of income and the number of employees. So how they have grouped it under. What did they do? They have adjusted in class interval. That is a little detailed topic. So we will be discussing about it in the next class. That is, how do you use continuous variable? How will you group it? And after that, how will you do the adjustment there? Because you can use decimals also, right? So how are we going to adjust it? There is what we are going to study. Fine children, when are we going to do that? We are going to do it in the next session. What did we discuss today? We have discussed frequency distribution, what is a frequency, what is a class, upper class limit, lower class limit, okay, class with mid-class value and everything we have discussed. Finally, we are into the process of how to prepare a frequency distribution. Already we have answered 4 questions of equal or unequal size, then how many classes, determination of classes, size of each class, okay, then we are in determination of classes. That is what we are doing right now. Next is how should we get the frequency. So still one more question should be answered in the preparation of frequency distribution. Till that I want you to go through whatever we have discussed. It's a little detailed topic. I want you to take your time, understand it, study that properly, watch the video again and get to know more about it. Right children, as I always say, if you have doubts, of course you are free to call me and get your doubts clarified. Right children, please do your worksheets without fail. Thank you and may all have a good day.